Nintendo tester who's probably gonna get fired leaks a lot of Smash Brothers information. Let's do it! Block content. What's happening, my block buddies, and welcome to a brand new episode of Blocked Content's Leak Speak. My name is Callum, and this is going to be your content for today. Yes, today we get to talk about a disgruntled employee, someone who has actually posted information about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and a lot of information, like a lot of different characters that are supposedly coming in the Fighters Pass number 2. So yeah, this could actually have some spoilers. I mean, there's no way to know for sure at this point, and this could be completely fake, but also there's a lot of interesting stuff in there, and actually character choices that I kind of agree with, some that come, out of nowhere, and some that make a lot of sense and we've actually rumored about. So yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled for the Fighters Pass in any way, it might not be best to watch this video. We did a really great video yesterday in a live stream, so go check those out. But for everyone who's still here, yes, we're going to be talking about a lot of different characters with their abilities. Yes, this leak even talks about what the characters can do. So yeah, everything that we know from these certain fighters that we already have is that everyone has some sort of like secret skill, right? I mean, Hero can do all these crazy cool things with these different moves. Talk about Joker with, of course, activating Arsene. We have Banjo-Kazooie with the Golden Feather and also all the other jumps and cool stuff like that. And Terry with the extra special move, and Byleth with all those crazy cool special moves that, everything is super different. And we get to talk about what's all different about supposed next fighters coming to Smash Bros. Ultimate. And I've been answering many of you guys' questions about that game and new fighters in our show Question Blocked, where I answer your questions. What do I think of your favorite game? How do you start making videos on YouTube? Well, whatever you can think of, send your questions through to blockedcontentmail@gmail.com, and I will answer your question live on the show in one of our next Question Blocked episodes. And here's a brand new giveaway. You can win one of these Super Mario surprise capsules. We even unboxed one. Yes, it was quite a loot box. There was a crazy cool figure inside, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. You can watch our live stream to find out who it is, and we will actually give it away. If you like this video, subscribe to Blocked Content and comment down below to enter for the giveaway. All right, guys, let's get into the main topic of today, and that's this image. And yes, I've blacked out some information here that was some coarse language, so I'll read it for you guys. I'm a tester. F Nintendo and not giving me my breaks or fair pay. Ryu Hayabusa hangs and crawls under the stage and platforms. Billy and Jimmy Lee, weapons only they can pick up, drop off fighters. Sword users drop swords, etc. Tharia is in. New design, probably from Awakening Switch Remake. She uses spells, hexes, and basically a damage over time character with really good evasion mobility. Toxicity is in and has moves that do more damage when the opponent is poisoned, and some stun moves. That's all I've tested so far. Have Nintendo screen cap this confirmation soon. Crazy stuff over here. Certainly someone who is not that happy. If this is real, then this is a disgruntled employee situation. And this happens a lot of times with leak, where it's just basically someone who either just got fired or is being treated unfairly and basically wants to lash out against the establishment and basically talk about some trade secrets that they've probably signed an NDA for. So yes, this person, if this is all true, is breaking all the rules ever, right? So talking about all those characters is really interesting. So I wanted to take it, one by one, but first, like in a general sense, talk about this, right? The idea that this person is a tester is very interesting to me, because as we know that Nintendo Treehouse tests out the Smash games and all other games from Nintendo, right? I mean, they will have to show people how to play these games at events, and also they just need to be in the loop for things like translations and, making sure that the game's actually working. So yeah, they basically test the games to make sure that there's no game-breaking bugs, glitches, and that everything is smooth, right? So right here, this person is basically saying, I'm testing this, but Nintendo is not giving me breaks. Yes, we've heard about this, and there's actually YouTube videos about people that are, visiting these websites that grade people or grade companies that people have worked with, and Nintendo has a pretty low score overall. People have been, commenting that have worked at Nintendo that they don't have the right pay, that they don't have the right breaks, and there's also other people that were very happy with their position and made some great friends and did some good work. But yes, this stuck out to me and it was very interesting. So this actually does happen. So there's a part of my brain that kind of wants to believe this because the characters are really cool. I mean, Ryu Hayabusa, Billy and Jimmy Lee, that's an interesting one that we get to talk about. And of course, Tharja or Tharja, that's very interesting to me. And Toxicity, I mean, if you talk about a new Pokemon character, this is something that a lot of people actually like, the design and the character, but there's also other characters within there that I would really like to see as a new Pokemon joining the fray. But that's already a lot of fighters, right? That's a lot of fighters already leaked and their special abilities. So I first want to talk about Ryu Hayabusa because it kind of makes sense, right? A character that has already been with Nintendo since the NES days. Really difficult game. Like, I played that game, Ninja Gaiden, and it's so difficult. And all the newer games, you know, they can get quite difficult too. Sigma, I think, was one of my favorite games. And I think it really is interesting to have a character like that in Smash Bros., right? A really fast character with katana gameplay, maybe even some other weapons that Ryu Hayabusa uses in the newer games. That'd be super cool. And of course, those big air combos and the Nimpo magic. That would be awesome. I can't wait to see that in action. And then he actually details hanging and crawling under the stage and platforms, which of course is a thing that Ryu Hayabusa is able to do in like the older classic game. So it would make sense for Sakurai's perspective to add that, right? I mean, you know, to make the characters a bit more true to their NES counterparts feels right at home for someone as nostalgic and classically influenced as Sakurai. So Ryu Hayabusa having that ability would look really cool. I think it would be similar to what Diddy Kong is able to do in the game, but Ryu Hayabusa will actually be able to walk or crawl along those walls, which would be really cool. A little bit Spider-Man influenced maybe. It's really awesome because in this original game, that looks cool and you treat it very, you know, like a platforming ability, and maybe that has some fighting use in this game as well. So talking about Billy and Jimmy Lee, yes, this is one of the more interesting parts for me about this leak because these are characters that are not really leaked a lot for Smash Bros. Ultimate. No one really likes to talk about Double Dragon with Smash Bros. And I don't know why, because the characters are classic video game characters. They could be echo fighters of one another, and they actually fight. You know, they're from a game where they fight originally, and I really love those games because the style is super cool, the sprites were always very cute, and it was awesome to do all these cool co-op things, right? And pick weapons off the ground and kind of fight with them. I love that idea, you know, a little bit of Streets of Rage, a little bit of that kind of River City Ransom energy. But Double Dragon has also had other crossovers, Battletoads, stuff like that, so I definitely feel like this is an overlooked gem, and Billy and Jimmy could actually be joined, or Bimmy, like he was called in one of the localizations. It was really funny. And the idea here that the leaker actually talks about, yes, Billy and Jimmy Lee, weapons only they can pick up drop-off fighters. So maybe they are like characters that don't have special moves, you know, particular to their weapons that they use in the game, but maybe they actually have items, kind of like how some fighters will just pick up turnips and stuff like that. Maybe Billy and Jimmy will pick up like stuff like swords and baseball bats and stuff like that, and they only drop off fighters. So maybe if you defeat a fighter, you know, through the screen, it'll drop from the air, or maybe if you just land a critical hit on a fighter, you know, it will randomly like drop some sort of weapon. And yes, you could see certain characters dropping certain weapons. I mean, sword users dropping other weapons than swords would not make all that much sense. And maybe even characters like Kirby and stuff like that dropping food, I think would make a lot of sense too. I mean, you could even, you know, rack your brain about this. All these different items in Smash Bros. Ultimate are now in legal tournament play. That would be very interesting. And well, maybe not even legal, right? Maybe this will cause a big piece of trouble, like just like Hero had. So very interesting to me. So it's Tharja or Tharja, new design, probably from an Awakening Switch remake. So a new design. So that tells me that they revised the design that was basically rejected as just a trophy for Smash Wii U and 3DS. So that's why that was basically not included in the game. It was a little bit too much for, you know, the younger kids. You know, of course, this is a family game. This is a family show. I always thought that it was very funny because there's a lot more risque stuff in Smash Brothers. But Tharja or Tharja being in the game, I think is very interesting. Of course, another Fire Emblem character. Don't know how that's going to go over with fans, but the idea of this character having hexes and spells and stuff like that and being very solid mobility-wise, I think would make for an excellent fighter. So I actually have no trouble with this. If there's another Fire Emblem character, I'd rather have it be some cool witch instead of another sword fighter. Toxicity is in and has moves that do more damage when the opponent is poisoned. So I think Inkling is a character in Smash that hasn't been chosen by too many people and kind of dropped off the map right after the character was announced in gameplay. I think that the character has a lot more potential than that, and maybe Toxicity will revive that kind of, and maybe they are matched equally. That'll be super fun. And the idea of stun moves and stuff like that, I like the character design too. Toxicity to me is an interesting character. It's not the Pokemon that I would choose. I definitely think that the fighting bear Pokemon would be really, really interesting because that design is just crazy cool to me. But yeah, there's a couple of other Pokemon that I think would make a good fit, but Toxicity would actually be among them. I think the colors and the design of the character is cool, and having a poison-based fighter, I mean, we don't really have that. If you think of characters like Ganondorf, that might be construed as a poison character, but it's, more like magic, right? And I think Toxicity is really a toxic character in, the best sense of the word. And then it just says, after Nintendo screen cap this, confirmation soon. Well, the legitimacy of this, right? I would say it's a little bit in the middle right now. So I'm on 50. I'm on 50% of this being real or fake because there's no way to know, but it's always things like this. And actually the date on this, which is not shown in the image that I've been sent, but the date on this was actually before we knew a lot more about the end of Fighters Pass number 1. So yes, even before we knew that there was another pass coming, this person actually leaked out this information, which is really interesting, and there's probably a lot more to come, right? I'm very curious what you guys think of this. I mean, there's so much to talk about here, right? So I'd love to hear what you guys think of this. Of course, if you comment down below, that could actually be featured and read out loud in our next video. And today's comment question is, do you want any of these newcomers in Smash? And let me know which one it is. And as for a previous comment question winner, our answer comes to us from our user, PV Magic Videos, saying, even if Hadkit will be a Mii fighter despite this leak already being fake, I wouldn't even brag about it, as much as I do wish she were a full DLC fighter, as she comes with Humble Bundle, which is a unique publishing and charity company. Personally, I think Banjo took over the platform collectathon throne. Unless we get a modern platformer rep, but that could also be Super Lucky's Tale. Personally, I think that Hadkit is the best for a modern platform. I mean, Yooka-Laylee is primitive, but I'd rather want Team 17 to bring the worms to Smash. So thank you, PV Magic Videos. Yes, Hadkit is an interesting case, right? Because the game is super polished, well done. A lot of my friends worked on that game, and I think that it actually is gorgeous, and I love the way that it controls. Super satisfying, but is it that big in the sphere of general video game knowledge that people would know this character just as much as a character like Sans or even Cuphead? I don't know at this point, but maybe a Mii fighter or a Mii costume, maybe a Mii sword fighter or something like that for Hadkit would actually appear in Smash Brothers. Yes, I think Super Lucky still has a shot too. That character is cute and would fit with Smash Brothers quite well. Yooka-Laylee, I think the time has passed, and also it'd be a little bit weird, right, to have Banjo-Kazooie in there, the Donkey Kong characters, but then also Yooka-Laylee. There's probably some kind of, wall for that not to happen. So very curious, very cool. And yes, I do believe that Hadkit would be a very interesting character to have as a full fighter, but I just don't think that it's going to happen for Ultimate. Maybe somewhere down the line. So thank you so much for sending in your comments. These are always so fun to read through. And of course, a big shout out to our latest Patreon supporters. We just had a new one. Thank you. And the super chats during our live streams, which we also just had one, and it was super awesome. Thank you for your donations. And of course, if you want to join us or have, a video animated by me, go to patreon.com/blockedcontent. There's a bunch of incredible rewards there and they're waiting just for you. And remember, if you're not yet a member of the Blocked Content family yet, hit subscribe now, smash that like button, and all the news and fun that you care about will be delivered on the daily to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you around the corner, but there's always more Blocked Content. See ya!